All right, welcome to Role Playing Gamescast. We're your host, Tony.
And I'm Joe.
And we are creating a podcast here where we can dive into some of our favorites and sometimes new to us retro RPGs. So we're looking to play Super Nintendo and PS1 era games, so circa 1990 to 2000, what we're calling the golden age of RPGs. And what we're going to do is we're going to approach these podcasts like a book club for gamers. So it's like a book club, only way less boring, right? Right, Joe? Like way less boring.
That's Tony, you're a teacher.
It's like a book club, but the same level of not boring. All right. So every week we will play through a portion of the game, and then we're going to get together, and then we're going to talk about it. And we're hoping that you guys will play along with us at home, and we're going to give you some ways to contact us, so you can email us or send us messages on Facebook or tweet at us, and kind of let us know your experiences with the game, and we'll address those every episode that we talk about things. But first, we're going to start by introducing ourselves so you know who we are. We'll start with me. I'm Tony, and I play video games because I love them. They're a nice way to escape from a world that sometimes is very difficult to be a part of. And also, I mean, for me, video games is like the ultimate synthesis of all the art forms: art, music, drama, writing, theater. Everything is in there in video games, and you get to control them. In real life, I teach band. I teach high school band in Florida, which sounds way less cool than it actually is. It is the coolest job on the planet. Joe?
Hey, I'm Joe. I'm a software engineer. I live up in North Carolina. I've been playing video games for a long time, since I was like 5 or 6 years old, probably. RPGs, I don't have as much experience with. I've started a lot of them, mainly because of that synthesis you just mentioned. I usually wind up loving the music or loving the idea of a good story, and I pick one up and tend to get burned out after a little bit of time. I'm hoping to turn that around and finish some this time, which is one of the reasons I'm excited about this podcast.
So I guess we're talking about how we met. So me and Joe met in college.
Yes, we did.
The first interaction I remember having with Joe is 3 a.m. at a Waffle House.
Oh my God.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I totally do.
Oh my God. We were not hammered we were like good kids. We were like little angel kids. We were just hungry. And it was late, and so it was you and me, and I think it was Amy. I think we took to the. Oh my God,
100% right. Oh wow, yeah, I remember that too. We were both music students in school. Tony obviously stayed with it longer than I did, but
a little bit, longer. Yeah. We're gonna go ahead and tell you guys what game that we're playing. Joe, you want to reveal to the audience the game that we're planning to play through?
Yeah, and if we do more than one game, this is going to be a recurring theme. Obviously, I've mentioned before, I haven't finished many RPGs. I finished Chrono Trigger recently, which I really loved, and which kind of
so good.
Yeah, that's one of the things that has me pumped about this, because a lot of the things that stress me out about these like turn-based role-playing games have to do with like really getting into micromanaging and thinking about opportunity cost and getting stressed out about things, and I'm kind of just letting it happen, playing them just to enjoy them.
But Joe apparently has a problem with Chrono Cross, though. Joe has been playing Chrono Cross and is not enjoying it as much as Chrono Trigger.
Not as much. I mean, the music's still just outstanding.
It is incredible.
Yeah, and that's why I played a little bit of Chrono Cross the first time around, like 10 or 15 years ago. Mostly just because I wanted to listen to the music.
Yeah. Before we reveal, do you remember your first RPG? Can you remember it, like your first time?
Probably Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, yeah, that was me.
I probably played 20 to 30 hours of it. I think I did the same thing that I did in Final Fantasy VIII. I refused to grind at all, at all. So I would play boss fights over and over again and figure out how to like get just the right amount of healing and stuff, and burn through all my items and barely get by. And then I would eventually get to a point where I saved right before a boss after a dungeon, and I couldn't pass it, and I refused to go back and like level up a little bit.
Oh no, man!
Leave the game. Yeah.
I'm a grinder. I love grinding. It's my favorite. I want to walk into a boss fight, and I want to sneeze in the boss, and I want him to be obliterated completely by my powerful sneeze.
No, I was the opposite. I would do as little fighting as possible, and then the game would break essentially, and there wouldn't be anything to do. And I know that there are people who right now are probably going to point out that you can't really grind in Final Fantasy VIII. I realized that, but I also wasn't taking advantage of the junction system the way that you're supposed to. So I was like losing in a lot of ways on that.
Yeah,
one.
they're still grinding though, because you have to acquire all those items to like be able to upgrade, like do your weapons and all kind of that crazy stuff. But Chrono Cross is definitely a game where you cannot grind. Like there's no grinding in that game.
No, it's weird. It's just weird. I didn't enjoy the combat right away as much as I did with Chrono Trigger.
I agree, but I think that if you give it some time, you'll enjoy it because I think the story is very, very cool, and it does a really great job of tying Chrono Trigger into that story.
I will. And I just remembered you asked me to tell people what game we're playing right now, and I've not done that for like three
we should tell them.
Minutes.
We should, or we should just delay some more. Maybe another 20 minutes.
Yeah, let's talk about some old college stories some more. So, Final Fantasy VI, another one that I've never played, but I've heard very, very good things about.
Yes.
Originally released on the Super Nintendo in 1994, I think. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
I know that because you told me that like 20 minutes ago.
I did tell that to you.
It's my information. Final Fantasy VI we're playing on the Vita, which I think is just a straight emulation of the PlayStation version.
Yes. Yes.
That has some load time issues, but they haven't been too bad so far. So I'm going to be content to keep playing that version. Tony, you were mentioning you might use the original Super Nintendo version?
Yeah, well, I mean, I did get a Super Nintendo Classic not too long ago, and I just remembered, I had been playing the Vita version, and about a couple hours into the Vita version, I was like, man, I have the Super Nintendo Classic version, so why not play through the Super Nintendo Classic version and then be able to compare versions as we go through this thing. And obviously the Super Nintendo version is called Final Fantasy III because it was the second Final Fantasy, I believe, that they released in America. The first one being 1 on the Nintendo, and then they released 3, which in Japan that was already 6. But they had not released 2, 4, or 5 in America because they were. This is going to say, I believe the reason is they thought they were too hard for us.
Oh, wow.
So that we couldn't. And if you have played, I have played 4 and 5, and 4 and 5 are significantly harder, I think, than 6.
I was going to say, 6 has been like pretty pleasant so far.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a couple. Some of the boss fights, like when I fought Ultros the first time, the octopus.
Yeah, we'll get more into the specifics, I guess, when we do the actual playthrough. But
yeah,
that was really smart because they're trying to teach you to do something very specific in that fight.
Yes,
which you'll need later on. But it's set up in a way that if you don't perform this one action, you won't win. I thought that was clever.
Yeah, man, really, really, really cool. Are you talking about Vargas? You're talking about Vargas?
No, I'm talking about Ultros. You have to put that guy in the back row, right? My understanding was that.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. I was thinking about the pummel, the blitz thing, because you have to use the blitz to beat Vargas.
No, I lost. It's a tutorial fight. I lost it. Yeah.
Well played.
I'll save that for when we do that section of the game.
Most excellent. So you heard it right here, live in your earbuds or your speakers or whatever device you're using to listen to this. That we're playing through Final Fantasy VI, and we're going to be playing through, if you're playing along with us, to the end of Sabin's 3rd episode. So at some point, you get to pick between 3 episodes. Once you've completed all the episodic work and get to that next portion there, then go ahead and stop, and that's what we're going to discuss on the next episode.
And I'll go ahead and say right now, it's real good.
Yeah, it is.
I'm only like 5 hours in, but for a game released in 1994, I had the same experience with Chrono Trigger. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I think good is good, man. The time does not destroy good,
No, it doesn't. And more so in this game than with Chrono Trigger, like there are some, what I assume are localization problems where maybe the grammar's a little off or the wording is a bit odd, but it's few and far between enough that it doesn't take away from the fact that the writing is just really clever.
Yeah, and it's almost, at some point, it's charming,
Yeah, absolutely.
More than it is distracting. So we're going to ask you to play along with us. If you want to email us, you can email us at roleplayinggamescast@gmail.com. You can follow us. What? Say that again?
Yeah, that's Gamescast, plural. Not the trademarked Gamecast. That's very important. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We do not want anybody to come after us, is what Joe is saying.
Well, ESPN specifically, but yes.
We do. ESPN, I heard, breaks people's legs if they use the word Gamecast.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're trying not to die via the hand of ESPN. So that is roleplayinggamescast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at the same handle, roleplayinggamescast. You can also follow us on Facebook, Roleplaying Gamescast. So you can send us a message, send us a tweet, send us an email. So as you play through your playthrough, we're looking to record and release an episode within about 2 weeks, probably. So within the next week, if you want to email some stuff, subscribe to whatever podcast listening source that you use, subscribe to our podcast, share it with your friends. This could be a really, really, really fun thing where we do this together. And there are a couple of other game club style game podcasts, and I just don't think they've done that well. So I think that we have an opportunity here to do something pretty fun with you guys. Joe, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap it up today? Oh, looks like Joe left, guys. We lost Joe. The internet kicked Joe out. But that's okay. I can feel in my heart that Joe wants you to know that he loves all of you, and we look forward to playing Final Fantasy VI with you. This is Tony and Joe out. Thank you for listening to Role Playing Gamescast. All right. Welcome to Role Playing Gamescast. We're your hosts. Oh, I fucked that up already.